Hello everyone, GeneralApple here with the House and Fata Morgana playthrough part 14. And last episode has been the longest so far, so I'll try to keep this one quite timid compared to the other. But yeah, I couldn't just stop playing. It was too good. The story was super intense, and we got to a point where they finally, our two main heroes of the story, actually talked to each other and starting to understand what the motives of each other are and what their true nature is. And I'm just dying to continue, honestly. So let's just inspect our memories and continue right where we left off. Their stories. Right. All right. So now we're going back to Giselle's perspective. I really truly wished I had gotten to know him sooner. Yes, I had fled from the mansion in fear of him, but maybe if I'd had just a little more courage, enough to tell him the truth, maybe he would have listened. I had let my initial impression of him solidify too quickly. I had convinced myself he was insensitive, and perpetually expressionless, save for the arctic stare. But the man standing before me did experience sadness, pain, distress. Or at the very least, he appeared to from where I was standing. Michael was, just like me, an ordinary person. That said, there was still plenty I didn't know. I was still lacking explanation for much of his behavior. Would you mind telling me about yourself now? I'd like to get to know you better. What are you doing here in this mansion, all alone? Why do you call yourself cursed? I told you everything. It's only fair you do the same. I have no interest in using your information for anything. I have no reason to. Or are you going to keep pushing the master and servant line? Do you still think I have no need to know? Be quiet. For the love of God, stop talking already. You always pick the worst time. What? Excuse me. What do you mean I always pick the worst time? No, I wasn't. Unbelievable. Just when I was starting to think you might actually be a decent human being. Then you go and spout it. This. No, Giselle, I wasn't talking to you. Who else could it have been? I was talking to, you know. I have a condition that forces me to vocalize objections to my own thought. You know, that's about as convincing as my allergic to people excuse. Sorry. Weirdo. What crosses did he bear? What secrets did he keep? Maybe the truth was far beyond my reckoning. And if it was, even if it did, please tell me everything. No matter what you say, I won't doubt your words. I will trust you, and I'm sure you can accept anything you say. Please, if you don't put it into words, I have nothing to work with. Okay. Where should I start, though? How about the curse, then? Are you actually cursed? That's a difficult question. I cannot, for example, take someone's life with my curse, nor can I bring about disaster. I don't have any magical powers like that. So what you said I saw with a bluff then? It was just a way to chase the villagers away. Well, you certainly put on convincing performance. So you can't actually curse anyone, huh? Regardless, I am human. Nothing more, nothing less. At least, I consider myself one. Others would disagree, and the reason for that has to do with my body. Your skin, hair, and eye color, right? Right. He looks so majestic. Seeing Michael under the sun, he certainly wasn't what most people would consider normal. Awe-inspiring, in fact. Giving birth to me, it broke my mother. No, I drove her mad. Not only do I appear inhuman, I'm oversensitive to sunlight. While a little light through the window isn't much of a problem, I can't be outside, directly under the sun, for more than a couple hours. When she realized I couldn't go out into the sun, my mother started thinking I was possessed by a demon. So she banished me to this mansion until my curse was broken. That was 10 years ago. Just because you look different from them. The family reputation was at stake too. If other noble houses realized they were giving refuge to an unholy creature, it would destroy the Bollingers. You saw how the villagers reacted. They called me a demon when they saw me. I suspect the rumors about the mansion played a part in that. If nobody thought the house was cursed, they wouldn't have. I'm sure you're afraid as well. You saw me and thought I was not of this world, that I looked like a demon. I thought you looked like an angel. A what? I, at least, thought you looked more like an angel than a demon. It never once crossed my mind that you might be evil. But I understand your situation now. Because of your appearance, you lived all alone in this dark mansion for 10 years. It was never really an inconvenience. They bring me all supplies I need. You big liar. Have you never considered running away? That's not an option. Because of the sun. No, I could move during the night if I really wanted to. I'm being watched to ensure I don't leave. Watched? They can't allow anyone to find out that I'm alive, particularly at the Boilinger estate. If I were to run and they were to find out, I would probably be killed. If only I didn't stand out so much, I might be able to stay out of sight easier. But also, I had been holding on a little hope, I think. Hope that I might be able to return someday. I have all but given up hope now, though. Not that I ever had enough willpower to really fight for it. I see. You don't need to worry about pitying me either. It's long since become normal to me. It's not something that should ever become normal. So, what was that really a moment ago? You don't actually have a condition that makes you argue with yourself, do you? Please tell me. You don't have to believe me. In fact, I doubt you will. Refuse to think I'm completely mad. Don't worry, I want to know. I can hear the witch's voice. The witch's voice? It started when I first arrived at the mansion. No one else can hear it either. Like I said, it sounds crazy. Not at all. I said I would trust you, so I believe you. Maybe he's not well. Yeah, that has to be it. 10 years all alone in one place and you're bound to start hearing things. He seems like a delicate person too. Thinking about it like that, I'm starting to feel really sorry for him. Do I want to know what you're thinking? I'm here for you. Huh? I've made up my mind. I'm going to stay here with you. Wait, what? Don't worry, I'll shout so loud you won't be able to hear that silly witch's voice anymore. Well, will you now? If you hear it again, let me know, understood? You don't have to be afraid. Oh, that's incredible. I never said I was. Whenever you hear it, I'll be there with you, holding your hand. Well, we kind of took the extremely long route. But there you have it. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Master. Master. Now, where should we begin? I know. Supper. Are you hungry? What should I make? Slow down, please. What is it? If there's something you'd like, I'm happy to accommodate. You actually intend to stay here again? After what happened last time? Because of what? Because of what happened. Because of that, we're finally able to see past each other's surface. I want us to try again, from the beginning, and this time, actually try to be considerate of one another's feeling. That's a promise, master. Alright. I can stay here, right? I don't mind. I'm glad to hear it. Say, yes, master? If you ever want something from me, could I please ask you to put it into words? I don't have much faith in my ability to pick up on things. Got it. Then here's something to start with. What do you say we open some of these windows? Open the windows? Yeah, we don't have to if you think it will cause you problems, but it would be nice to get a little light in here. I'd like to put an end to this house being dark, closed-off cave. I wasn't the one who barred the windows. You weren't? They were like that when I arrived. Made it seem like a very appropriate place to have to lock me away. Well, I'm sensitive to light, yes, as I mentioned, and little sun through the window shouldn't cause any problems. Alright then, can I ask you to help me open them? Let's both lighten this place up. After a few moments of silence, Michael gave me a curt nod. Well, we couldn't do anything about the windows that had been boarded up. The two of us forced open the ones that were just covered by rusted over shutters. When we got to the first one open, a beautiful stream of light like nothing I had ever seen before. Flooded into the dark mansion halls. I had assumed that spring would never come. All we had to do was talk to each other, listen to each other, and everything else would fall into place. But it was that first step that was so hard, so much harder than either of us had expected. And now that the ice was melting, we had to treasure that. It might not have seemed like much to someone else, but to us, it was a huge accomplishment. It was really big. The first step is always the hardest. This time, it will all work out. It has to. I had all the confidence in the world when we were together. But now that I'm alone, in the dark, in the absolute silence of the night, I'm starting to get anxious again. Starting to feel like something bad is going to happen. Like I'm going to mess something up again. We took a big step today, and I know I have to keep it together, to keep thinking positive. The goods you're after, Giselle, they're not cheap, understand? Thus saith the Lord of Hosts, the woman had committed 3 sins. She lied, she stolen, and she had betrayed her fellow men. Nah, it's alright, it's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of, Giselle. Whatever happens, you have to hold fast to your faith in the goodness of others. You have no reason to tremble. Oh, yes, come in. That's odd. I don't think I was hearing things. There's no one there. What was that about? Oh, a glass. It's wine, and it's so warm. I guess he heated it on the fire for me? Oh, you could have at least stayed high. I have a feeling this is going to work out. He warmed the wine glass by the fire? That's, unheard of? I guess it was really chilly. The light shining in through the windows is swallowed whole by the darkness, as if to say our time together never actually existed. We saw it, though. Together, we watched the light crack open the darkness. I'm begging you, please remember. Please find yourself. Please, Giselle, don't let the things you felt, the warmth that fell over us, remain lost to you. I might have seen it. Oh, she's starting to remember. Seen the most beautiful light. Giselle, but are these truly my memories? Could they not be someone else's tale? Like all the others we've seen so far? She was so bright and energetic, and I am neither of those. Besides, the maid needs not a tale of her own. This is not a story. These are memories. Mine and your memories, no one else. It was all very much real, as were the kinder, happier days that came next. kinder, happier days? Those words create a strange warmness within my chest, but at the same time, they make me indescribably anxious. Is there really happiness to be found down that road? Even if our past doesn't lead to happiness, it could be worse than where we are now. It couldn't be worse. Well, that's true. Come, Giselle, to the spring that made us more than just strangers. Ooh. Wow. Master. Come on, get up. Up with you. Master! What? See? What did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. A morning? Oh, well, wait a sec. Don't you hide under your bedspread. Get out of there. I'm fine with my room staying dark. What she's even doing in here? But master, you agreed that I could open the windows. I did, yes. Don't worry, I've put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best part of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of leaves. Am I being pushy as I feel right now? Kind of. Yeah, but you wouldn't be you if you weren't, so for now I won't get on you about it. Also, now that I know your real intentions, no, never mind. I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. What did you think of me? Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality too. There's not a single good trait on that list. Now, hear me out here. That's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice too. We agreed that we would live together, just not in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. Not just in the same house. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning after all. We've got a long time ahead of us. Plenty to get to know each other, no? That's the vision we saw before. Let's not waste any time then. Why do we say we do something today that we haven't been able before? Huh, where should we begin? Ooh, I know. We can get this place cleaned up. You want to clean? Now that there's actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust, all over the place. My vision was still slightly unfocused, having not completely escaped from Morpheus' embrace, but I could see well enough to catch her smiling brightly. That was the first time I had gotten a good look at her in the light. I could see the facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotions, and those glittering eyes. Not even a trace of the tribulations she had endured tainted her pure jade eyes. She's surprisingly good looking. I'm clearly not myself right now. Is something the matter, master? Ha, I know. You're still half asleep, aren't you? I guess I'm just going to have to throw my best bucket of water on you. What is the best bucket of water? I'm awake. Is there something on my face then? Just far too amusing of a sight to wake up to. Amusing? Oh, just get out of bed already. What a noisy morning. Oh man. Please don't end in tragedy. I got my first decent look at Michael's face under the light that morning, watching him stifle a yawn as he crawled out of bed. All the little details I hadn't been able to pick up on in the darkness, his expression, mannerism, and the way he looked at me. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those vivid, all-consuming red eyes. I was probably, no, almost certainly, making a really dumb face at him. Huh? It isn't just me, is it just me, or is he kind of, no, very pretty? How could I have not noticed until now? Oh geez, wow, I can't look at him in the eye. Look him in the eyes. Yes, what can I do for you? Is there something on my face? No, huh. Huh? Hair monster. Excuse me? Your hair, it's really long. Yes, that's it. Way too long. Oh, is that a way for a servant to speak to her master? I'm just kidding. I don't have any interest in holding your status against you anymore. I see. It's really hard to tell if he's joking or not. So, about that cleaning, may I wash my face first? What? You're going to help? As I just said, I'm not going to act like I'm superior to you anymore. What are you snickering about? I can't help it. I'm happy. If my hair really does bother you, you can cut it. Huh? I can cut it? Oh, of course. I'll give you the best haircut you ever had. Oh, but I should warn you, you'll want to stay perfectly still. I'm a monster with a pair of scissors. My sister always said you were as likely to lose an ear as you were your hair whenever I cut it. You stay away from me. Oh god. He almost let her in. Shame. She kinda screwed it up. I was shocked at how much more comfortable I felt around her only one day following our opening up to each other. Maybe this was normal, and I had simply never felt it before. I didn't know. I have thought it would take years of work to get close enough to someone to be able to have conversation without picking apart every little detail. But here I was, a day later, already there. Was that how it usually worked? Did people normally get close and draw apart so freely? I didn't find it unpleasant to have someone else around. It was a strange feeling. All that friction had dissipated in an instant, and it was like we had known each other for years. Though not entirely willingly, we began sharing meals, something I had always done by myself. Hey, I see you shoving aside that parsnip. You need to eat everything. Do you have any idea why there was so much rotting parsnip in the cellar? I don't care for it. You could at least pretend to be ashamed. Yeesh, you're not a kid, so don't be so picky. It's not good for you. It hasn't caused any problem thus far. It will soon enough. Huh, I can believe you. We have limited supplies and you won't eat your vegetables. Ooh, question. I've got an idea. Go on. Is the list of supplies sent by your family set in stone? Meaning? I was just wondering if it was possible to make requests. If I could, I would just go out on a shopping trip. Perish the thought. The only village around here is the one you came from. Right. Say, are you saying that out of concern for... Who would ever be concerned about you? I just want to be able to sleep well at night. And I'm not interested in throwing more servants to the lions. You know, you're a whole lot simpler of a person than I first thought. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Back to your question about the delivery. Yes, you can. I haven't made any requests recently, but you can write what you want on a sheet of parchment, or, if you don't have any, something similar. Put it in the box and leave it outside. As long as your request is not completely unreasonable, it should arrive with the next package. Why? Is there something you need? Yeah, I was hoping to increase our selection of vegetables. And while I'm at it, if possible. Actually, that's a secret. A secret? It's nothing too exciting. I'll tell you when the time is right. Alright. My relationship with Michael gradually transitioned from master and servant to something closer to friends. He was still my master, but he allowed me almost complete freedom. And he didn't order me around either. He gave me a hand with my work. Though he was still not very talkative and oftentimes hard to read. He at least seemed to be making an effort to close the gap. He would, on occasion, tell me about himself, though not in much detail, and anytime his family came up, he grimaced uncomfortably. Apparently, his father had wanted him dead. His brothers, though, had worked to create a scenario in which he could live, faking his death and sending him to this remote mansion. Wow, so his brothers actually saved him. I've never encountered Michael's brothers while at his family estate, but assuming he was right, it was one of them who had given me that letter, and they were likely our only allies at the house. I don't know what he's thinking. It's been 10 years, Michael had muttered, to which I had replied, have faith. It was better to live in something, even if it felt silly and unreasonable, than to lose faith in everything. My being able to find a renewed belief in the kindness of people was what had allowed me to start smiling again, after all. Because I was able to have faith, I was able to enjoy life once more. It wasn't an exciting or thrilling life. It was a humble, simple one, with just the two of us, but I couldn't trade that light for anything. Some people might think it's dull or dreary, but it was ours. Master, I really truly appreciate that you want to help with the cooking. I do, honestly, but this is apocalyptic. This is mutinous. This is affront to gastronomy. This is unearthly disgusting. Get me better ingredients. What? I'm not a bad cook. These are simply better ingredients. If they were better, they would taste just fine boiled. And it's not as bad as you claim besides. You make a mockery of the culinary arts. I've been eating this for years. I don't see the problem. I've heard quite enough, Master. It sounds like I'm going to need to put your taste buds through some intense rehabilitation. I have to teach him what real food tastes like. Otherwise, he won't be able to appreciate it if I make him something really good. Yeah, his taste buds are quite stale after 10 years. Hold the chair steady for me, will you? I'm going to wipe down the top shelf. I can handle it. I'm tall enough to reach without standing on a chair. It's not as simple as just running a rag over it. I've got practice, so let me take care of it, alright? There's a lot more dust than I expected. I probably should have used something to cover my mouth. You're going to want to hold your breath for this, Master. Alright, here goes. She's quite practiced. Is there any need for me to be holding this chair? Chew! What? Oh! Hold the chair! I'm so sorry. I didn't think there would be that much dust. Thank you for holding the... Master? Your hand is... What? Your hand is, on my chest. Ooh. No, it was an accident. Right, it was. Finally, really, it was my fault anyway. It's completely, totally fine. I can't even look her in the eyes. Could this be a more painfully awkward? Anyway. So, don't worry about it, Master. Honestly, I should be apologizing for subjecting you to that. That's easier said than done. I have to do something about this stifling awkwardness. For once, it was only for a moment. I barely even realized what it was. But that's not the issue. I need some clever way to brush all this aside. Something witty that tells her I'm not bothered at all. I'm not concerned. In fact, I see no reason to be concerned at all. It felt like I was squeezing an obese rat. I hardly even perceived it as a breath. Yeah, that will save it. An obese rat. An obese rat. What? How utterly insensitive can you be? I'm going to rip every last hair off your head. Leave my hair out of this. Say, master, what did you do? What did you do all this time by yourself? That's an exceedingly vague question. Ah, say, when you were really, really stupidly bored out of your mind, what did you do to keep yourself occupied? Meditate? That's how many times you have reached enlightenment. I sometimes play chess too. Chess? Wait, by yourself? Yes, I imagine how an opponent might react to my moves, and play the other side that way. That's kind of depressing to think about. How about this, master? Play a game against me. Do you know the rules? You bet I do. I do come from a family of merchants, so I keep up with trends and know all sorts of games. Oh, prepare to meet your maker. So, who was I supposed to prepare to meet again? Ah, come again, have a little mercy, you trounced me. One more time, I just wasn't at the top of my game. When am I going to meet this maker? What? When did you put me in a checkmate? One more. Hold on, that's not fair. Take it back. My king. Please stop. Amateur. Nah. Can't you just go a little bit easy? You never asked me to go easy. This isn't a game, this is a slaughter. This is a one-sided massacre. About this maker, I'm looking right at him. That was actually kind of fun. No, it wasn't, it was miserable. Next time we're playing something fair. Such as, let's see. Oh, I know. Arm wrestling. Huh? Arm wrestling? Yeah, you sit across from each other and put your elbow on the table, grab hands and see who can pin the other down. Who would ever willingly participate in such a primitive competition? Not interested then, or you're afraid you might lose. Alright then, I can't imagine losing to a woman. Okay, elbow on the table. Start on my count. Ready? Go! Huh? Oh, he lost? Victory! He actually lost. Dun dun. The music is so wonderful, by the way. She's happy. I wish to see Michael smiles. Oh, there he is. He smiled a bit. With each passing day, it grew less and less unusual having Giselle always at my side. I began more freely engaging in silliness, speaking my mind and showing emotion. I could say her name, and Giselle would turn around and smile at me, an unimaginable sight not long ago. For 10 years I had lived alone. Solitude had been my normal, but that was very rapidly changing at her hands. We were continually getting closer, yes, but not in a romantic sense. If I had to describe it, I would say good friends was probably the most apt. Time continued to pass on. Our relationship remained relatively stable. Eventually summer came, bringing with it the longest periods of sunlight I had experienced in many years. Then, the leaves began falling from the trees, and before long, the world grew cold and dreary. That winter, the fireplace was never without a crackling blaze in its belly. The boiled wine we drank was undoubtedly middling and cheap. But she said with a smile, "I've never had wine this good before." And though I didn't say anything, I felt the same way. The sun set much earlier, and having stopped using candles, we found ourselves habitually gathering around the fireplace when it grew darker. No. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's why troubadours performed at pub. troubadours perform in the bars so they can be near the fire. Or because there's ale. Oh, this is the vision we saw. Drunkenness makes even bad singing and storytelling pleasing to the ears. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say, yes? Do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Please don't tell me you're bringing the obese rat incident back up. No, not that. Before that. Before we could actually talk to each other. I believe I suggested we read something together if you ever felt the inclination. You might have. I can't say I remember. Are you sure about that? You turned down my proposal saying I was wasting time. But look, it actually happened. Even if you don't remember, I'm sure you never thought this moment would come. I was, for the most part, focused on making sure things didn't get any worse between us. But to be honest, I didn't expect there would actually come a time where we would sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book. Yeah, you never know how things might pan out. I actually do remember. I remember how I tried to push her away, how much I mistrusted her. I was nothing but hostile towards her. People change, and perhaps if they can, so can the future. Maybe I can hope that, like our friendship, there's a chance the future might take a turn for the better. Is something the matter? I don't much care for hypotheticals, but if by some chance I were someday to be able to return to that house, should that time come, that house is home to her nightmares, even if it didn't happen until my father was gone. It would erase what he had done to her there. She acts like nothing wrong though. I don't know. Have her wounds healed, or do they still remain? Should that time come? If that day comes, I will do what I can to ensure you have comfortable life in the city. Though I will not be able to inherit the estate, I can work something out. I see. Thank you very much. But if you would be comfortable doing so, I would be pleased if you were to join me. Huh? I mean, as a servant. As a servant. Yes, a servant. We're short on hands. I see. A servant. Do I really need to repeat myself? Yes, as a servant. Alright, sure. I think I will. I would like to accompany you, Master. How exciting. I'm sure a wonderful future awaits us. I pray so. Now, back to the story. I believe we had just gotten to the point where a knight set out to defeat the monster and save the princess. I bet he was a big, buff, muscular knight. Let's not talk about how muscular he was. A bit of jealousy? She let out a gentle laugh, and I thought I smelled something sweet on her breath. Was it her scent, or perhaps just my imagination? I had no way of knowing. We sat so close, even the slightest shift seemed sufficient to allow me to hear the sound of her heartbeat, causing mine to accelerate. Curiosity flooded my mind. What might she be thinking right now? What does she think about me? And as much as I tried to banish them, I frustratingly failed. I was just getting caught up in the moment. I had just briefly lost my way. Though I tried to convince myself otherwise, it was all in vain. When had my pulse gotten so rapid? When had my skin gotten so flushed? When? How? Why was this happening to me? I thought I had already learned my lesson about having feeling for someone else. Before long, winter retreated and our second spring came to its place. A full year had passed since we had resumed living together, and I don't think it was my imagination that this year felt much warmer than last. Spring seemed to have arrived a bit earlier than in previous years. One night, where the breeze carried on its pleasant residual warmth, Giselle escorted me out to the garden. Come on, Master, hurry up. It's the middle of the night. What's so important? I just found it myself. and I couldn't wait until morning. A rose. It's blossom. A rose? Oh, so now we're at the rose garden. Giselle had, over the past year, cleaned up the nest of weeds that have been strangling the garden. Off to the side of a small plot of turned soil, swaying in the wind beneath the moonlight, was a single red rose. When did you? Last year, I requested flower seeds, but I just couldn't get them to grow, and I was starting to think they never would. But look, it's only one, but it did. I had no idea. Of course you didn't. I didn't tell you. Why would you keep it from me? I wanted to make it a gift for you, master. What? Why? Roses makes wonderful gifts, supposedly. No, that's not what I mean. Why me? I haven't given you anything. Consider it a symbol of my hope that we'll still be this close another year from now. If we are, then it is yours. I don't follow her reasoning. I don't follow it at all, but the sight of a deep rose almost melting into the dark night was perhaps the most wonderful thing I've ever seen in my life. I had never understood why some people found flowers so enchanting. They were always just plants to me. But that one on that night was undeniably beautiful, majestic, and like a young child seeing a flower for the very first time, my hand automatically reached out for it. Not knowing the proper way to appreciate flowers, I didn't gently caress its petal or take in its fragrance, but snapped its stem. Oh, you picked it up. You picked it. Are you going to bring it back to your room? When I finally processed her question, that was when I realized I probably should have left it to grow in the garden. Man. Wait. Why am I actually tearing up? This is a happy moment. Shame on me. From the base of its stem, where I had plucked it, a droplet succumbed to gravity and fell to the earth. With it came the delayed realization that I ended the plant's life. But it was overpowered by childless possessiveness. The stunning flower was mine. Moonlight tricked down from the heavens, giving a gentle bluish tint to my hand and a smile on her face. You're going to need a vase then. Give me just a minute. For the briefest moment, the moonlight must have played a trick on my mind. Oh my days. Damn, oh no. It's happening again. I'm holding back tears. Master? I remember this. What on earth am I doing? A look of bewilderment filled Giselle's face just inches from mine, which hammered in the reality of what I'd just done. The thought had just crossed my mind that perhaps her black hair might prove a good backdrop for the rose, but it was supposed to remain a simple fancy. What was that about? An excuse. I need a good excuse. A drawing. A drawing? Right, I would like to preserve it on canvas. What? What? I mean, that rose on its own does not make a very compelling picture, so I would like to include you as an accessory. Wait, you want to draw me too? Merely as a background element. You're slightly more interesting than a vase, that's all. I've never seen you draw anything before. I just never got the urge. You know how? Many years ago, my brother taught me. I don't think I can handle being a model. I've never had a drawing done of me before. You would probably be better off with just the rose. You gave it to me, didn't you? That means I'm free to do with it as I please. I did. I didn't mean to sound so rude. I had no real interest in drawing the rose, but I couldn't just take it back either. Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly, and I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. So I fled to the cellar in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. At the far wall, I found a rectangular panel of wood and several sticks of charcoal. My memories was obviously nothing compared to what a curt artist might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to do the portrait any kind of justice. God, what am I doing? I want to bury my head in the sand. Giselle was waiting for me in the stained glass chamber. It seemed she is still just as uncomfortable as when I had left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before averting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual, it would make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek? What should I be doing? Stay perfectly still, please. Do you need me to pose or anything? No. Just get comfortable. Look away. Why? It's hard to work when you're watching me. What? I feel like I have to sneeze. Hold it in, please. What now? Can I see it? I've barely drawn anything yet. As long as our eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, and my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose, but Giselle. At first, I had regretted any in-the-moment proposition, but I was beginning to think it hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would never been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have that kind of courage. This isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being a sharp-tongued, unapproachable recluse? Was that what I wanted to strive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we ever ended up so comfortable around each other. That she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. I had stopped sketching at some point. Oh, man. Oh, God help me. I can't hold back the tears. What in the world was going on? One of my roses had finally bloomed, which I thought put a smile on Michael's face. But rather than improve his mood, it made him go all strange. It had made him say he wanted to draw something. I had never seen Michael draw anything before. I can't sit still. I tried to sneak peeks of him every once in a while, but any time our eyes met, he gave me a stern look that way stare. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking at the archangel in the stained glass window. What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who would consider it a drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me. No, not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close, to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michael attracted to me. And there's no way. There's absolutely no way he compares to me, an obese rat, and calls me an amateur at chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Oh, yes. If it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This will take a very long time to complete. Oh no, no trouble. You had a very stern look on your face is all. I was doing that bad job at hiding it. I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask of you. I'm sorry. Honestly, it's no trouble. I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all. I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not talent I was blessed with. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have bad art drawn of them. What? What's he's getting so negative about? I wasn't the only one making a face. His head would turn slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I'd never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who had just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't at all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. I would... But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was so enchanting, I lost myself in it. I would be happy with anything drawn from me by the man I love. Oh! She said it! She said it out loud. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I had said, my mind had gone blank and I couldn't form a coherent thought. Like family. You're like an older brother to me. I meant love like a love for a brother. Hey, say something, master. Give me your usual exasperated sigh. Come now. Go on, give me your best good grief and then hurl me out the window. Come on, please. Show me some disappointment. Master? Ah. When the wood panel he was using as a canvas and the charcoal hit in his hand crashed the hard chapel floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. I didn't have the presence of mind to wonder why it knocked over the canvas, or why his hand appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped towards him, and when I did, the moonlight shining down upon us intensified, and our gazes of jade and ruby intertwined. Oh, show it to me, please. Oh God. There was a visible rosiness in his eternally pale cheeks. Master. A flicker of panic darted beneath the surface of his normally stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over at me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon's spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in a frozen world, robbed of all rational thought. Oh man, I need to gather myself together. Riding the moonlight current, his hand fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I expected, but it felt pleasant to my flushed skin. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart, too. His breathing stopped for a moment, then he gulped. He brought his head in. I closed my eyes and... Oh no. Then I shoved him away with all my strength. Michael rolled back, knocked his hand on the side of pew, and began groaning in pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Sorry, you startled me. I really truly didn't mean to knock you down. You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. What? Get some rest. Good night. He turned away, marching off into the corridor and shrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I had caused that, but I hadn't realized until it was too late. It felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm going to hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping he would say it was just one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened and tomorrow go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him. And that was no mistake. You wouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happy with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him, find him, and tell him the truth. Yes, please chase him. Don't let him escape. What am I doing, for God's sake? I'm not in my right mind. Something about me was off today. I couldn't control myself. I was saying things I didn't mean, doing things I didn't intend to. I had never meant to do that. But at this point, I had no choice but to admit my feelings. I couldn't pretend I didn't know what they were anymore. How long I felt this way? A week? A month? 6 months? Or maybe a full year? Had they already developed when we started anew? No, the when didn't matter. It didn't change the facts. I was still attracted to her regardless of when it had begun. But she pushed me away, quite literally. I sighed at myself. Should I be disappointed? She was nothing like me. I was reclusive and unsociable. She was the exact opposite. She was the kind of person who would confidently tell someone how she felt. And she had done exactly that. Said I was like a brother. But I hadn't listened. As a matter of fact, could I have been any more presumptuous? I don't deserve to love anyone. It's better this way. Master! What? I told you to go back to your room. Master, I need you to listen to me, okay? What? About what just happened? That doesn't count. You can't count any of that. Huh? I said I love you and that I shoved you. They don't count. Right. I was planning to forget that anyway. So don't worry. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that it's not something I should have said on a whim just because the moonlight was kind of pretty tonight. It wasn't supposed to be so casual. The way I said it doesn't get across at all how much I really care about you. It should have been something with more impact, rather. Me looking you straight in the eyes. My heart jumping around like it's on fire. That's how I should have said it. What? What are you? I'm saying I want you to give me one more chance to do it right. Giselle, calm yourself. I am calm. In no sense of this word, you are calm. Fine then, I'm not calm, but I'm clear-headed. I mean every last word. Listen carefully. I love you. I love you so much. I feel like my heart is going to explode. What? You mean like family? Like a brother, right? Romantic love. Romantic. What? I wasn't upset back there. No, I was elated. What? My mind couldn't keep up with what I was hearing. Half out of breath where she stood. Giselle was frantically insisting that she loved me. Was I dreaming? Master? How do you... I would like to hear... how you feel about me? Assuming I interpreted that correctly, you were going in for a kiss back there? Right? Right. So I can take that as your answer? Giselle looked up at me with the bleary eyes. She had feeling for me. It was a miracle. I could hardly breathe. It felt like someone had struck their mind in my chest and was squeezing my heart. I just had to say yes, and a smile would spread across her face. I could bring her joy, and all it would take was a single word. I had no reason to say no. My happiness was standing right there in front of me. What more could I ask for? All I had to do was reach out and claim it for myself. I had tried to do exactly that in the chapel, and I could do it again. I loved her. I was a twisted man, cast out of this world, and left with nothing. I had no way to make her happy, but still Don't tell me you've forgotten what you are. Tell me. There was no moonlight to give me that nudge. Do not feel that way about you. No! What? I got confused for a moment. I apologize for the misunderstanding that seemed to have caused. All the color drained from her like a flower wilting before my eyes. A heavy sigh spilled from her lips. Her jade eyes swayed lifelessly back and forward. I hadn't thought a mere love could possibly have such weight, but she looked as though I had just told her she was to be executed. I see. I'm sorry. I let it go to my head. Sorry for making such a racket. Really, God, what was I thinking? I got way ahead of myself there. Her fox energy hurt to watch. I had hurt her, and this was the result. You want to protect yourself, even if it meant hurting her. But look where that got you. You would have been better off just going with it. Because when she learned the truth, she would have pushed you away anyway. I'm sorry. I'll be going now. Sorry for barging in on you like that. She had made her way into the shadows towards the door. There you did it. You preserved your peace. I got the feeling she would never turn back. Your mistake was ever getting close to anyone. What I'd always wanted was right there in front of me, and I was so close to obtaining it. And you pushed her away. I actually did love her. She would never love the real you. No, she couldn't. You're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me. Oh my god. Nah. Good night, master. She was leaving. I wanted her here, and she was leaving. I simply had to acknowledge my feelings as she would come back. Was I really content to let her go? In my weakness, I mistreated her. I hurt her. I let her go, and I was about to lose her. Even though she said she loved me. And I felt the same way. Oh, wait. Please don't go. Oh my god. Your voice is shaking like a scared child. What are you hoping to tell her like that? She was different. She was probably... No, she absolutely was nothing like anyone in my past. She won't be any different. I decided I would try just one more time. To believe in myself and to believe in someone else. I lied. Oh, thank God. Giselle, from the bottom of my heart, You regret this? No, I won't. I sincerely love you. Oh my god. The fragrance of rose enveloped me. Her arms, wrapped around my chest, were both imbued with strength and shaking like mad, as though the slightest touch might shatter them. Okay, I had to take a quick pause there to get my bearings together. I was starting to actually tear up like a madman. Okay. Nah, why didn't you just said that in the first place? She said in a quivering, sniveling voice, just inches from my ear. I lacked sufficient control over my mind or body to return her embrace, to run my hands through her hair, or to do anything more than support her weight. I'm sorry. Jerk, bully, brute. You don't get to play this one off as a joke. I'm truly, sincerely sorry. You've given me two different stories. Tell me, which one's the truth? Were you just confused? Or do you actually love me? I want to hear you say it again. Oh man, the tears came up again. The break didn't help. The truth is, I love you. Again. I love you. Without fumbling this time. I love you, as I've said several times now. Not good enough. Again. Have mercy, please. I'm about to die of humiliation. Can I really believe you this time? You're not going to say you were lying again? No, I won't. Then we both feel the same way about each other? Shockingly enough. What's there to be shocked about? I didn't think there was anything likable about me. You really have to do something about that pessimism. I'll try. I'm in heaven. I'm so happy I could cry. You're all over me. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. When you first said no, everything went black. I wasn't sure what I would do anymore. I had lost all hope. I really, really do feel bad about that. But you had changed your heart. Now you're willing to have me. Yes. and everything I bring with me. That was the idea. Oh, yeah. Absolutely everything, right? You're pushing that point rather hard. I have a request. It's something I don't think I could ask you at any time. But now, while we're in this moment, I will do anything, so long as it is within my ability. Tell me, what is it? Will you look at my naked body? What? More specifically, my scars. You're going to have to see them eventually, in which case I would like that to be now. A year ago, I had refused to look at her scars. I had been certain I wouldn't be able to accept what they represented. The abuse my father had subjected her to. If possible, I would have preferred never having to face that. But I, more than anyone, need to know. It was my responsibility. I had to accept reality, not grimace or avert my eyes. I had to face up to what had been done to her. Okay. Oh God. I couldn't bring myself to look at her as she hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustling made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense my joints were practically creaking and my heart felt like it was being stamped on. I feel like I'm made of stone. I'm ready. You can turn around. Alright, I'll count to 10. She's laughing at me. I feel a whole lot better seeing you nervous. I'm turning around. Okay. Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but she couldn't hide the pink flush spreading across her cheeks. It contrasted well against her white but not excessively pale skin, as did her jet black hair. Sorry, it's not anything nicer to look at. In what way was this not pleasant sight? I had never been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure of comparison, but I was certain the same sight of any other woman in the world would not have the same effect on me. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. Were I more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which perhaps would have brought a sheepish smile to her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce were incoherent rasps. Please, say something. I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm unclean. You're not hideous. You mean it? I mean it. Why would you think so? Because you're not unclean. Not in the slightest. You mean it? I do. Even seeing this. Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following her lead, I dropped my gaze to her lower body. And there, I saw her scars. Swollen, red and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. As she had described for me, the lines were arranged to form letters carved into her skin. Ah, so that's why she said I would have to see them eventually. My instincts told me they were wounds she would carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated at the fact that the person who had done this was out of my reach, at the fact that I could do nothing for her. That went through my father's mind. What went through my father's mind when he looked at these? What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? Why my father, of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain. But I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal stakes piercing the walls of my heart. Blood streaming through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? What was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I came up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her. That I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind. You're in no way hideous, no matter what marks left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence. Thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. When I was down in that village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. That made me think I had reached a point where I was so tainted anyone could see it. I'm sorry. Why should you apologize? You were frowning really intensely. I thought I might have made you mad. No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villager, and myself. May I touch them? You may. My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favor by hesitating. As soon as my fingertips brushed her skin, she shuddered. Does it hurt? No. There hasn't been pain in some time. I could feel her trembling where I touched her. It didn't seem like it was going to subside anytime soon. Soon, she began whimpering softly. Her lips moved as she were trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. The tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well. I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but also kind of hate myself. Hate yourself? But why? Because I can't stop shaking. I'm overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I keep seeing flashes of you doing other things in my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way I feel in my heart. I was foolish to have ever thought these wounds might have healed. As scars remained on her body, so did they remain in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds though, the ones inside her seemed to still be raw and bleeding. She just did such a good job of acting normal that I'd begun to think she might have gotten past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there because it brought back those memories. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really truly sorry. Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him? What? Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire, I might be able to make it happen. Cast a curse on him, perhaps even a fatal one. I ignore the fact that he's my father. I don't consider that man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. If hypothetically such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him? No, I would not want that. Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what that man did, he deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you, and you're still shaking more than a year later, and you can just let him get away with it out of the goodness of your heart? Hypothetically, if you wanted to curse him, I wouldn't do it even hypothetically. If not, out of the goodness of my heart, I'm just a coward. A coward? If curses were real and he were to die by one, then I would never ever be able to forget. If my resentment for him took his life, then that would mean he had damaged me so permanently I was never able to get past it. I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking now, but one day I want to be able to proclaim proudly that it no longer has any control over me. But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you ask out of concern, and that's more than enough for me. A soft smile spread across her lips, but it all inspired in me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was still trembling so much. But what was I to do? What was I, unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bollingers, to do? I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't I? I couldn't do anything, could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think. to stop running from the problems, to figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses and angry words. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle. I took the hand that had been tracing her scar, and slid it around her waist. Even now, her trembling showed no signs of abating. I will never, the one thing I could do, hurt you again, was to wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you here with me. All I ask of you for now is to be at my side. You can be scared, and you can quiver. You can quiver, but please don't apologize for it. Please don't feel bad about it. I think you can be scarred. I promise not to turn my head away from your pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. I have no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I'm a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can do for you. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Muffled whimpers resonated against my shoulders where she had buried her head. Eventually, they grew into unfettered sobs. And my bedchamber was enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usually strong-willed, cheerful, optimistic Giselle welled from the depths of her soul. This past year, she had constantly been nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments where she wanted to cry like this but couldn't. So starting now, I was going to try and support her too. I was sure I would mess something up, as I had little experience being caring. I would probably anger her, probably stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I found my resolve. I had overcome my hesitation, and I was sure I could do it. That I could create a place where she could find peace. I could surely. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. I had, as I said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She had a decidedly not childlike frame, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other warmth through my clothes. Between sniffles, Giselle said softly, "One day, I'm certain, I'll be able to, without any hesitation, be properly joined with you, and it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can't control the shaking, but eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too." The affection infused in each and every word was palpable. Sometime later, she drifted off to sleep, exhausted. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams. And that will be all for today's video. And man, this was the best session so far. I couldn't stop crying. I literally took 2 or 3 breaks just to cry in the middle. I'm sorry it'd been so out of nowhere. I just had to. I felt like I couldn't continue reading. I was honestly stifled. I was choked up. I couldn't bring myself to read. It was too difficult. I had to take a break just to, get my bearings and contain myself, but I couldn't let it. I had to open the floodgates eventually, and I broke down. This game, one of the best I ever played. I'm gonna claim it right now. It was so good. It is one of the best stories I ever seen in gaming, and I've been gaming for a while now. But yeah, what a story. Oh my god, I'm dying to continue this. So we'll push through in the next few days because I really want to finish this. And yeah, wow, what an incredible game. So please, if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to this channel. And that's all for now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.